My name is Chris Noel. I've been with Screen Actors Guild since 1960, and I had the opportunity to go to Vietnam many, many times to entertain the troops and to help build up their morale. And I have a shelter for homeless veterans, which I've had since '93, and I think I've had an incredibly exciting life. And I wanted to be here today because I wanted to thank my commissioner for having helped me out of a very complicated property appraiser problem. And I bet you my stepdaughter can talk about it a lot better than I can.
My name is Allison Moore Timms. I'm a lifelong resident of Palm Beach, or West Palm Beach County. Chris Noel was my stepmother many moons ago. I received a screaming phone call from Chris one day saying she'd received formal notice from the property appraiser's office that they were revoking her homestead exemption for the previous 3 years. She had basically about a month to come up with $25,000, and they would be reconstituting her assessment based on the current day valuation. Her annual property tax was going to go from about $1,200 up to $8,000 or so, which for somebody on fixed income, that's just deadly. After going over to the property appraiser's office with the notification in hand for her, basically trying to find out what it was going on, they wouldn't really tell me anything. So I then proceeded to find out that the property appraiser's office had received notification from the Palm Beach County Community Services that Chris had rented out her house during COVID and someone had received a lot of COVID relief money, and so she hadn't been living there, so they were revoking the homestead exemption. Well, it turned out that this person who had been renting a camper to the tune of $100 a week had filed a forged lease saying that they had rented the entire property instead of just a camper, and that was the basis for the revocation. So I thought, well, if I call the state's attorney's office and maybe file a fraud charge against this man, then perhaps that would help the cause. So they said, call the police department. We filed a report, and then the state's attorney's office decided not to pursue anything on that. And I had also called and left a message for legal aid. I mean, I hit on all points that I could possibly think of doing, which got us nowhere. I put a rather lengthy post with the detailed information on Nextdoor, hoping that someone would see it who had a suggestion. And within 24 hours or so, I had a phone call and an email, I believe, from Niels, Gregg Weiss's person or assistant, and he basically ran with it, and within, I think, 3 days, the fine for the homestead exemption had been removed, and it was all being reconstituted. Chris's stress level went from being off the grid because it was undoable with a fine like that and all of these things, to she's comfortably in her home years later.
Well, I'm just grateful it was settled, it was handled. Thanks for listening. Chris Noel, signing off.